The second strategy we're going to talk about today is one of my favorites. It's called attitude. And the reason I love talking about attitude, it's one of the few things that you and I can control. We're talking about maximizing our true potential, right? We can't control the interest rates, the stock market, the weather. We can't control our client, but we can control. Every morning when we wake up, we put our feet on the floor, we can make a decision about how we're going to show up every single day. Because ladies and gentlemen, attitude is the little thing that makes the big difference. And just for fun, I like to measure my attitude on an imaginary 0 to 10 scale. 10 is absolutely unstoppable, and 0 is a medical comatose, right? And so the goal, obviously, is to be closer to a 10. Now, let me ask you a question. Are we always at a 10, yes or no? No, I mean, we'd like to say that, but we're human beings. We have emotions, we have setbacks, we have disappointments, and that's normal. But the key is, how do we get there? How do we stay closer to the top? Because the reason I always talk about this, no matter where I go, is here's a tip that I didn't learn in college, I learned it after. People like to do business with people that make them feel good. I'm going to repeat that. People like to do business with people that make them feel good. So understanding the power of an attitude and what it has to do with your business. I mean, you all know somebody right now that when you see them, they make you feel good. You want to be around them, and it makes sense in the business world. So I also believe with attitudes, you get out of life what you put into it. We've all heard that cliche, but I believe that's true in regards to attitude as well. I mean, you've all met this person, and I'm sure there's nobody in here like this who walks around that level 4. I mean, that's kind of how they go about their life. Hey, how's it going? Oh, it's Monday. Hey, how you doing? Oh, hump day, whoop, whoop. Hey, what's going on? Oh, thank God, it's Friday. I really believe that those people put out that energy, and that's the kind of attitude they get back. Whereas if you're walking around with a level 8, 9, and 10 attitude, you get those kind of attitudes back. You get out of life what you put into it. Now, ironically, that Mark was here before I was, but I did play college basketball. I am a shorter individual compared to Mark, but I always thought about, when I was in my prime, what would it be like back when I was playing? The best basketball player in the world was a guy named Michael Jordan. So I thought, wow, what would that be like if I was at my prime and Michael Jordan was at his prime? Where would I need to be on that imaginary 0 to 10 scale to have a chance against Michael Jordan? Yes, thanks for your confidence. But really, I would have to be at my very best. True or not true? And the reason I bring that up is that, do you have any competition out there, yes or no? Absolutely. But we don't really think about it in the, hey, Michael Jordan type of thing. But I always think, I know you every single day when you get up. I mean, if you knew that you were going to play one-on-one against Michael Jordan or your foe in the industry, it changes the way you approach things. It changes your attitude and what you do. And I think that's tremendously valuable in the business world. So, I want to share about the law of attraction. We've all heard about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is actually you attract people and opportunities into your life who are most like you. And I put a little spin on it because I believe that you attract people and opportunities in your life who are most like you and based on your attitude. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, honestly, if you want to be around positive people, then of course that would make sense that we need to become more what? That makes sense. I mean, if you want to be more positive, be around positive people, then we need to be more positive. If you want to be respected, you need to be more respectful. If you want more love in your life, we need to be more loving. But if you want to be around more positive people, we've got to be more positive. And I'll never forget, years ago, I was doing an event, very similar layout to this. Stage was up here, and after I was finished, a guy comes up afterwards, and I popped down, obviously, and he goes, hey, Dan, I got to share something with you. I'm like, yeah, what is it? And he was being very vulnerable, very open. And he goes, I was thinking what you were saying about that law of attraction thing. And I said, yeah? And he said, man, he says, all my friends are jerks. And that's kind of what we did. We just kind of chuckled. I said, recognition is always the first step. So here's the reality of it. Because everybody we know doesn't have a winning attitude. But let me be real clear with you. If you're sitting out there right now, and I'm being honest as I can be, and you're looking at it saying, you know, on a scale of 0 to 10, I give myself about a 5 on the attitude scale. And if you're being brutally honest with yourself, my question for you is, can you change it, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, yes you can. You can change it. You could be walking around at a level 5 for your whole life. And you can walk out of this room and make a decision about playing at another level. It's simply a decision. You don't have to have another degree. You don't have to get permission. It's really about you making a decision about having a winning attitude. Now, the reason I love talking about attitude is the most powerful thing that I've ever seen is called the law of association. Now, who in here, anybody know what, when I say the gentleman's name, Pavlov, does anybody know what that means? Ivan Pavlov, what did he do? The dogs. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian physiologist who actually won the Nobel Prize in 1904, but he did a study that he's most famous for. And what he did was, it was called the law of conditioning. Skinner is the one who actually did it really, but Ivan Pavlov gets the credit. So what he did is he put these dogs in a controlled environment. And obviously before dogs eat, they salivate because the salivation has enzymes that help break up the food. Put these dogs in a controlled environment. They were hungry. He brings out food and rings a bell. He does it again. Brings out food, rings a bell. Continuously brings out food, rings the bell. Pretty soon the dogs know that the bell means what? Food. So they've conditioned themselves to food. So all they have to do now is ring the bell and the dogs start to salivate because they know the bell means food. The reason I'm telling you this story is every single day in our lives, people are making association about us based on our attitude. So here's what I mean. Hypothetically, if you saw me every week and I was in your office, and every time I saw you, I was in a level 8, 9, or 10 mood, giving you positive feedback, helping you get better, giving you sincere compliments. Pretty soon you start saying, wow, I really like that Dan guy. He's positive. I like him. And you get conditioned to my attitude. So pretty soon all you have to do is see my face, hear my voice, see my car drive up, or see an email, and boom, you literally start to feel good. And I guarantee there's somebody right now in your life, I guarantee it, either personally or professionally, that all you have to do is see their face and hear their voice, and you start to feel tired and depressed. True or not true? It's true. I mean, I've been out to lunch with people, feel like taking a nap afterwards, right? So you have to understand the power of associations in your life. Now, by the way, does this strategy hold true outside of business in your personal life, yes or no? Oh yeah. So this is bonus information, a little relationship coaching for you. I think about this stuff all the time. I'm always thinking about human behavior, and I think about the law of association. And when I come home at night, when I hit the garage door, if my wife Jennifer is at a certain place of the house, she can hear the garage door open, so she knows that I'm coming home. We all have probably experienced that. So I always think about when I come home, hit the garage door, I think about what's going through Jennifer's mind. I mean, does she hear that garage door? And is she saying, yes, whoa, Dan's home, yeah. That's what I'm working on anyway. Or does she hear that garage door? And is she saying, already? Because see, it's not something she has to think about. She doesn't hear the garage door and start going through her mind and contemplating, how do I feel about Dan right now? No, it's automatic. It's in the nerve system. So I'm sharing that with you because people are making associations about us every single day. I mean, you've all seen it. You've all seen it. So your coworkers, your business partners, your family, your friends, we can control how we show up every single day. It has an impact on our productivity. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Excuse me. Attitude. Now, the reason I say this too is that when I talk to people, people say, oh, come on, I'm just not that type of person. You know, I'm just not that type of person. That's not like me. And so there's a recent study out by a woman named Dr. Sonja Lyubomirsky, and she's a doctor of psychology at the University of California, Riverside. And she wrote a book, and they actually made a movie on happiness and attitude. And what they determined is 50% of your attitude is genetic. Now, that doesn't mean that you are born with a negative or a positive attitude. That means that you have a tendency to see events from a negative or a positive view. They also say that 10% of your attitude is based on life circumstances, which could be childhood situations, could be loss of loved ones, could be a divorce. Yet that leaves 40% of our attitude has to do with us, and it's a learned skill. And so when we're talking about attitude, we can literally change our attitude if we're committed. And by the way, this is just something I want to share with you. Obviously, I'm not selling books, and this is not my book, but if you know somebody or you're looking for something great to understand attitude, this is a book that changed my life years ago. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by a guy named Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychologist who lived in Austria. And when the Germans came in 1938, I believe, and they took over the town, they captured him in 1942. Him and his wife and his brother and his mom and dad, and they were dispersed to different concentration camps. And he made it out, and he was writing about it in camp, and he talked about how the prisoners who lost perspective and lost hope actually perished. And so he talked about the power of perspective, that everything can be taken from us except the power to choose one's attitude. And that's fantastic. So if you ever know someone who's looking for something that can help them in their life, I recommend this book. Okay, so I want to give you some tools to use to help you with your attitude. So the first strategy that I'm going to share with you on how to maintain a winning attitude, this one, ladies and gentlemen, I started doing this, I don't know, 20 years ago. It literally changed my life. And I know that sounds cliche, but I'm telling you right now, if you start this today, your life will never be the same. So let's talk about the greeting strategy. So let's lay this out first. So you know, in our country, when you meet somebody for the first time, whether it's in business or recreationally or socially, how do you typically greet people? What do we say? Hey, how's it going, right? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's happening, depending on the context of the conversation. So I realized years ago that people aren't really asking, how are you doing? Right? It's just a cultural greet. Hey, how's it going? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you start telling them how you're doing, they're going to stop asking you how you're doing, right? It's just what we do. So I had the understanding, look, if people aren't really asking, I'm going to bring it. I'm going to have some fun with it. I'm going to bring some energy. So you can call me anytime, day or night, see me anywhere, and say, hey, Dan, how you doing? You're going to get a few responses from me. I'm on fire. I'm unbelievable. I'm unstoppable. Incredible. And it literally changed my life. I mean, do you know people aren't around enough positive people? Do you know that? And you know people don't get enough positive energy in their life? I mean, you can imagine I travel a lot, as I'm sure you do, and go to the rental car booth, put my bag down, and the woman was, you know, she was in her cultural hypnosis like everybody is. And she says, how you doing, sir? I said, I'm on fire. And I swear, literally, she's like, what? Are you okay? She got nervous about it. She was so nervous that somebody was actually happy. She's shuffling her papers and oh, wow, that's really great, sir. Wow, you're pretty tall. You probably need an upgrade. That's fantastic. I was in Salt Lake City, and right across from the Wendy's in the Southwest Airlines terminal is a little sundry shop. And I walk in there and get some gum, and the woman says, how you doing, sir? And I said, I'm unbelievable. She looked at me and said, are you really? And I said, yeah, I am. She goes, that's fantastic. I said, what do you mean? I said, what do most people say? She goes, they don't say anything. They just keep their head down and they walk out. I said, that's too bad. I said, well, listen, have a great day. And I'm walking out. She said, sir, come back tomorrow. I can use your energy. This is an airport, for goodness sakes, right? So I'm telling you, the little things can make, so listen, you guys are a fun group. So let me see how you do. I'm going to say, how you doing? And you're going to say, I'm on fire. So ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? That's pretty good. How about unstoppable? Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing?
Unstoppable.
Nice. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? That's not bad. I got to give it to you for this hour. Now, I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I hear two things. Two things that I hear. First of all, come on, Dan. You can't expect me to do something stupid like that. And the second thing I hear is, yeah, that's great, but you're being insincere. I mean, you're being insincere. You're not always in a good mood. And you're right, I'm not. But we've already determined nobody cares. Are you with me? So sometimes I'm unbelievably good, and other times I'm unbelievably bad. I'm just unbelievable right now. And it seems to work really well. So give it a shot. Have some fun with it, because here's the thing. No matter where you live, we all live in a small little bubble. We go to the same Starbucks, the same cleaners, the same grocery stores. We see a lot of the same people every single day. Are you with me? And so what I've done in my community is I've conditioned people that I'm always in a good mood. I can walk into Starbucks and they say, oh, hey, you're on fire. I'll get it right away. And it makes people feel good because they want to be around positive people. So give it a shot. The next strategy I'm going to share with you is, I shouldn't even have to talk about this, but I'm going to spend 30 seconds with this. Leave your baggage. We all know this, and we've heard it. I've got to talk to you about it. If you want to maximize your true potential in business and your life, we cannot share our challenges with our coworkers. It just doesn't work. I mean, can you imagine, excuse me, if Ian introduced me today? He says, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to love our final speaker. You're going to love him. He's the most requested speaker in Las Vegas, best-selling author, America's coach. You're going to love him. Let's hear from Mr. Dan Lier. And you all go ahead and clap. Go ahead. And I come up here this afternoon at 4:15 and I do this. Oh, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Wow, it's 4:15. I don't know how y'all do it. I'm your motivational guy, and we're going to talk about how to maximize your true potential. I tell you, I'm usually a little bit better than this, but my wife and I are having a few issues right now. What are you laughing about? I mean, you know how relationships are kind of like the seasons. And right now we're in the winter months, and I'm hoping we can get something going in the spring. My son's having some challenges in school, and my daughter's been texting Eminem. But if you stick with me, I'm kind of like a fourth quarter player. At the end of the hour, we're going to get this thing. Okay, this skit is over, okay? So can you imagine if I did that? What would you be thinking? Oh, get this guy out of here. Are you kidding me? Right? I mean, as a human being, you might think, oh, he's a nice guy, but we have our own issues. So not to make light of anybody, we all have issues. Some big issues, some small issues, some imaginary issues, we got them. But we all have a good friend, or there's something called therapy. So the key is, if you want to maximize your true potential, do not bring your baggage and share your baggage. Make sense, yes or no? Last thing I'm going to share with you is just be your best. Be the best you can be. I hear this. Oh, come on, Dan, that's easy for you to say. I mean, you're a motivational guy. I'm not a motivational person. Easy for you. You don't have the problems that I have in my life. Well, here's what I know, is that no matter what you do, we all have the same emotions. We go through fear, anger, setbacks. We all have the same thing. It's really about how we deal with it. And so really, just be the best you can be. I mean, I laugh when people say to me, wow, how do you stay so up? Are you always like this? No, I'm not always like this. I mean, that would be annoying. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, this is what I do for a living. You would think I'm a positive guy, but I'm not walking through Kmart with my kids. Yeah, woo, it's Kmart, yeah! I mean, maybe Walmart, but not Kmart. Seriously, though, just be your best. If the best you can be today is a solid 7, then let's do it. It's better than a 5. Just be the best you can be. Does that make sense, yes or no? Excellent. Thank you very much. And by the way, I want to share this when I always close out the attitude piece. Is anybody familiar with W. Mitchell? A couple people? W. Mitchell, guy I met years ago, and he's an inspirational speaker. And at age 30, he crashed his motorcycle and burned 65% of his body He lost all his fingers. You can't see the picture very well, but he's got a lot of skin grafts on his face. His fingers are gone. What happened was he crashed his motorcycle. The gas cap popped off. The gas went over him, and the flames ignited. Terrible. So he's doing rehab, and one of his goals was to be a pilot. So he gets his pilot's license, and at 35, he crashes his airplane, and he's paralyzed from the waist down. Now, that would send most of us right out of here. But he says, you know, my life's something more than that. So at 37, he runs for mayor in his small town of Colorado, and he had a great, great slogan. He said, vote for me. I'm just not another pretty face. And he ends up winning. So W. Mitchell is 70 years old today. Not today, but he's 70 years old. And he travels around the world giving inspirational talks. So if he were here today, he'd roll out in his wheelchair and he would tell his story. So I always think about W. Mitchell when I'm having a tough day. And I wanted to share this with you. You can see I'm having some trouble sometimes and drinking some water. I think that gratitude has a lot to do with your attitude. I mean, would you agree with that? Yes or no? On October 9th of this year, which is not even 30 days ago, I had a coronary heart ablation, which means they go up through your groin and they ablate parts of your heart, which means they burn it and kind of attempt to destroy it because of the electoral, it throws off your electricity in your heart, and my heart's going crazy. So they do this heart ablation. It goes pretty well. They do 50 spots, which is a lot. I get out the next day and I go home, and I was readmitted that same night because I couldn't breathe. And I had pneumonia in my lungs. So I go back to the hospital. I got the IV thing going for days. And I get out, excited about that. Have to go back in a couple days later because my heart's at 170. And so they do a cardioversion the next morning, which in layman's terms, when they hit you with the paddles and convert your heart with electricity. So let me tell you something. When I got home, I was so grateful. There were times in the hospital, all I wanted to do is see my kids, touch my wife, have dinner with my family. And when I got home, I was so grateful that I had prospects to talk to. Whether their budget was big or small, no matter what, I just was excited and grateful to connect with people. Does that make sense? So really just thinking about all the things that we could be grateful for, the health that you have, the loved ones that you have, and the opportunities that you have every day.